All right, guys, welcome back to another video. We're going to get straight into the point with this one. We're going to be talking about women. Now, this is something I've been kind of avoiding a little bit because I feel like it brings some controversy into my life that I just don't need. But I'm in a period of my life where, I kind of have some things to say about women, and I feel like it's a lot better than what I used to have to say. So, with all that being said, listen, if you were born a man, you have an advantage, right? One, you have a dick, and that just opens a lot of doors for you. But two, you have the male advantage. You get better with time, okay? Your sexual value increases as you get older. So the women that you have now, the sexual opportunities that you have now, even the social circles that you have access to right now, they are all just scratching the surface, and it gets better. But only if you do work. Only if you do the right work, okay? That is the blessing of being born as a man, right? You get better over time, but you have to work your ass off. Now, for women, they have a different blessing, right? Every position has advantages and disadvantages, right? As a man, you have a pretty strong advantage. The disadvantage is you have to work, right? But you get better over time. As a woman, it's the opposite. They start off as best as they're going to get, right? Technically, they peak around 21, 22, but after that, it's all decline, right? So the moment puberty hits and they finally fully develop and, everything starts working, they're good and they are attractive. Men are going to throw money at them and invite them onto yachts, and they get the golden ticket right off the jump. They don't have to work, but they lose it unless they do the work, unless they can find a certain man and keep him around, or unless they decide to start up a career themselves and, they can navigate a world of success independent of a man, right? And I think it's amazing that that is the truth in 2025, right? Women can do that. That's pretty sweet. But you, in particular, as a man, you have to realize that once you know how to get women, there's no more necessity. Like you shouldn't spend any more energy pursuing them. Once you have the skill, the skill of persuasion, of riz, of game, charisma, once you develop it enough to get a girl and to do so reliably, you should go ahead and hang up the suit and, the sneakers that you wear every fucking Saturday, right? You don't need to run game anymore. Now you need to work, because what you're getting, right? You're getting the bottom of the barrel, even when you're performing at your best, because your peak is still coming. Okay. And what's going to end up happening is you find a girl and maybe she's a little bit under what you're looking for, but she's reliable, she's consistent, it's easy to keep her around, and it kind of just works for the time being. And one day you guys are having a pretty intense session, and you forget to pull out, or you just choose not to, and now you have a child on the way. And at that point, that male advantage is almost gone, right? It takes a lot more work to fix that. Now you have a child with a woman who you don't necessarily find as like wifey material, or even all that attractive. Like, what a terrible situation to be in. But a lot of people willingly go into this situation because of FOMO. They feel like they're missing out. All their friends are getting married, and they're in their 20s, and everybody's starting to have kids now, and they feel like if I don't pull the trigger now, it's never gonna happen. And that's just not the case, right? We can look at celebrities, right? Celebrities are extreme examples of the male advantage. I'm sure you probably have an uncle or maybe a cousin inside the family where you can see this being played out. But you look at, you can say Nick Cannon or even Drake, right? Kind of dorky at first, not the most attractive men, not like they were ugly either, but they weren't really screaming like alpha. They didn't have the muscles, And as time goes on, they can really get their footing in their career. They can really start to build a name for themselves. And then they have the resources to go hit the gym and to get a little bit bigger, right? Nick Cannon, I think he has, I think 11 kids. Don't quote me, right? With several different women. He has a harem. Or like he's a gorilla. Like he's a gorilla and he has all of his little, his female gorillas, all like 20 of them inside the little clan that they're a part of, right? And he's doing his thing with all of them. And for a lot of men, that sounds like the ideal scenario. I'm kind of starting to lean more towards the camp of maybe I just want one girl, right? Maybe not that many, but I mean, if you really do want to leverage like the masculine dating strategy, you would want to spread your seed as far and wide as possible, right? And that's what Nick Cannon's doing, right? You see, Drake has a kid with a porn star. I mean, I don't know how to feel about that. Who's to say if that's a flex or if that's something to be ashamed of, right? But nonetheless, that's what it is, right? And I mean, we can just, again, if Drake were to text your girlfriend, that would be a problem. And I think that's all that I have to say. Maybe when Drake was 16 and he texted your girl, it'd be kind of funny. But Drizzy Drake, even with the allegations that Kendrick dropped on him, he could still just drop a DM and like that, he has girls ready to come over and take pictures and do all sorts of nasty things on cameras, right? That's what happens when you actually utilize the male advantage. Now, again, celebrities are extreme examples. You're probably not going to have a harem. You probably don't want to have a harem, right? You probably aren't going to be on a level like Drake anytime soon or ever, right? That's just what it is. Sorry, that's just what it is. But that doesn't mean that you need to feel as if you're lacking right now. You're on track. You're doing the right things. Now, if you don't have the ability to get girls, I'm going to give you the solution. It's pretty simple. It's not fun. Just go talk to more girls. Get outside the house. Give yourself 4 hours every day. Like, make it a sizable amount of your time and spend it getting as many reps in, talking to women in as many different scenarios, as many different places as possible, with the intent of figuring out what makes them attracted to you and escalating, okay? That means being willing to fumble. If you don't have the skill to get girls, you need to go experiment. It's just like a video game. If you keep running into the boss and you keep pressing B, and every time you press B, you die, well, then you need to press a different button. But if you ran into the boss 3 times, 4 times, and you pressed B and you died every time, and then you got afraid of the boss and you decided you're never going to try to beat the boss again, right? Well, then yeah, you're never going to beat the boss ever, because you're not even willing to go in there and like go into the boss arena and try different combos, right? That's what happens with a lot of men. They get demoralized, right? It's happened to me. It seems to just be a part of like the dating process, or at least maybe part of like the growing process, like maturing, getting rid of like that childish, emotional kind of tantrum throwing that we're so prone to having, right? But you get demoralized. You know, something doesn't go your way with one girl out of like 4 billion, mind you, right? And new girls are turning 18 every day, so hotter girls who are more like fertile, who have more attractive bodies, are turning 18 every single day, right? Like there's no shortage of women, but there's going to be one man or one girl who gets under your skin, and she does you a certain way that you just didn't expect could ever be done to another person, and it just makes you want to quit. And you do quit. You lose months, years of progress. And mind you, it only takes maybe about like 40, 50 hours. If you're just like fucking socially retarded, because I dropped the R word, yeah. But if you're like socially retarded and you spend like 40, 50 hours just talking to strangers, like doing the approaches, trying to get the phone numbers, texting, and learning how to set up a date and how to escalate to that, if you do if you put in the hours, you will get better. Like it's just how your brain works. You know, it's very hard to deliberately get bad at a skill. You can only locally get bad at a thing, right? So if you have this big graph, right, let's say it's this long, if you start doing something on this side, right, you're going to be doing better, right? The graph is always going to go in one direction. That's not the best, right? Left and right. So the graph is always going to be going upwards. You feel me? And this is like your wide range kind of approach. But if you look at locally, there's going to be ups and downs all the time. One week you might be a little bit better than the last week, right? And the week before that and the week after. You know, there's going to be local dips and peaks all the time. But across a long, like wide range view, you're always going to be getting better. It's impossible for like a skill to depreciate just with how our minds work, you know? So that's really all that I wanted to say. That was a piece of knowledge. And really all that I've offered you is a frame. It's a single perspective. It's one way of looking at things. And ideally, this way of looking at things provides you some relief and some motivation and lets you know that, hey, whatever it is that I need to get together, I have the time, and plus it's gonna get better, right? That's the idea of giving you this frame. And I know that there's like a voice in the back of your head, because it's in the back of my mind, that's saying, well, isn't this cope, right? Isn't this cope? You're just saying this so that you feel better, right? And it's all cope. Everything that we say about everything and anything, any insult that we could hurl at anybody, right? It's all cope in one way or another. We're all just trying to protect ourselves, right? Even that voice in the back of your head that is, you know, almost advocating for you to not take this medicine, right? It is trying to protect itself, even if it may be contrary to some other aspect of you, right? The human mind is very complex. Hopefully you got something good out of this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hey, make sure you leave a comment, like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and I'll see you in the next one.